Hi guys, I'm about to get onto my Facebook and I'm gonna have a guest tonight. Super excited. So hopefully this works. Hello everyone, welcome to Tips with Tony Topic Tuesdays. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. And this live video, I'm actually not doing the education. I'm just assisting in somebody that we're having as a guest. Her name is Hannah Stoffel. She's a certified nutrition coach with a wealth of knowledge about how to help people heal their skin from within. So I'm really excited to have this guest on. But hey Hannah, so I'm going to add you in a second. I just have a couple of updates that I want to give to my members. My followers. So the couple of updates is the Tips with Tony website is under construction currently. However, if you go there, you can get a really nice sneak peek of what's to come. I'm like super excited about it. If you have not subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast or the Gym Wits podcast, please do so. The Gym Wits podcast, this episode, it got heated. We had a woman on representing algae supplements, and let me tell you, if I could call her anything but a snake oil salesman, I would be lying. We tried really hard to provide you guys with some science and nutrition, evidence-based nutrition. It was a challenge, but it's definitely a much needed to listen to episode. So, hello! Thanks for tuning in, guys. Super excited. I'm like really excited about this live. One last update before we have her on. I will not be going live next week. I do apologize. But the following Tuesday, we'll be back on regular schedule. And it will be me, although I might also have another guest potentially, because so many people have all this wonderful knowledge, and if I could just give them the platform to share it, that's what I'm going to do. And I believe in what they have to say, so why should I have to do the extra research if I can just get an expert on my team? All right, so anyways, hey Sheila, thanks for tuning in. Hey JJ. All right, now, this is oh, you're welcome. That was rough. Yeah, that was rough. The most recent podcast, I called out some BS. And I'm not so like my character, but at the same time, I have responsibility. Being the nutrition expert in the field, I have to be, objective when someone's saying things that are not true. And that was the recent Gym Wits episode. That's kind of what had happened. So, hello, Sherry. What is up? All right. Now, this is the test. I need to find out how to get Hannah on here. Okay. Inviting Hannah on Facebook. Now I have to... Is that ad? No, that's a filter. Go live with Hannah. Often, so this is exciting. Done. Okay, let's see if it's working.
Hi!
Hi!
But I don't see it on Facebook yet.
You don't see it on Facebook? Okay.
I don't, no.
I just did that to add you.
Okay.
Invited you.
Let me...
You didn't get an invite?
Not yet. I just refreshed my page, so...
Okay.
Hang on. I see that you tagged me in the video.
I tagged you first, and then I also invited you. Oh, that's inviting. That's not adding you as I understand what I know what I did.
I see that you tagged me.
I tagged you?
Okay, and I have a question.
Yeah,
what do you think about the noise?
Okay.
I've never done both platforms before.
All right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we stick to Instagram tonight? Okay. And then maybe in a couple weeks we go to Facebook.
Perfect.
Does that work? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let me just let everyone know. Sorry, guys. Head over to Instagram for this live.
Maybe we need to practice in a private session.
I know. You can't practice live. How do you practice live?
Well, on Facebook, you can create like a private live event. I've done that before. So you can practice ahead of time. But on Instagram, I don't know if you can.
We should offer a workshop that people have to sign up for.
Okay.
And then it'll be private. Yeah. All right.
Perfect.
So sorry, guys. All right. And people are going to be mad at me, but this is fine.
All right. I'm going to close that out.
All right, Leah. Okay. It was worth a shot.
Yes, it was worth a shot.
All right. I'll leave it on my page so that way people can see it. Okay. Now also, too, you're not like...
Get some more. Sorry, your lighting is so much better than mine.
Oh, God. That's really funny considering I literally have one light on me and then every light in my apartment just like broke and I'm too short to fix it. And I'm not even short. I just don't have a ladder. So.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah. All right. So excited to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
No, my pleasure. What we could also do is when this is over, I will download it, save it, and put it on my YouTube channel, and then I can put it on Facebook, and then you can share it with your Facebook friends, and then I can share it with my Facebook friends. So I do want to do a live with you on Facebook in the future, but just schedule-wise, if we don't have time, we'll have that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And there's so much information that we were speaking about over the phone that I have a feeling we could probably do another session.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyways, I don't want to take up too much of anyone else's time. So, with that being said, please, so everyone, this is Hannah Stoffel. She's a certified nutrition coach, and she specializes in helping people heal their skin with utilizing nutrition as that main part of that. So do you mind just introducing yourself and saying a little bit more about who you are and maybe a little bit about your journey? I know you have your own personal story.
Yes, I do. I'm Hannah Stoffel, and I became a certified health coach through Dr. Sears Wellness Institute. I actually am someone who I did not grow up with a passion for nutrition. I've always had a passion for fitness. And in fact, one of the reasons I loved fitness is because you could work out and not have to watch what you ate so much and still have the figure you wanted. So nutrition didn't come to me until probably like 6 years ago. I started developing some awareness that food really does affect the way we look and the way we feel. So my story with acne goes all the way back to when I first, like a young teenager, I started developing acne. It was very cystic, like the hard nodules. Spent a lot of time in the dermatologist's office and went through many creams and antibiotics. And I would have success for a time. If you've ever done the antibiotic route or even like the creams, they typically work for a while. And then, especially antibiotics, they lose their effectiveness and you have to move on to something else. And so we went through this. And what ended up happening is I wasn't seeing enough improvement. And my dermatologist said, we need to put you on, I'm not going to say the name because I'm not a name caller. But if you want to know, direct message me and I'll tell you, okay?
I have a feeling, because I have a few of my friends, it's kind of like the last resort.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's this medicine. I mean, you have to sign this waiver form.
Because it destroys your liver, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It absolutely does. Well, my parents were at a loss. They were doing the best they could. I was desperate. So, I was willing to do anything, and that was all we knew, was you go to the dermatologist and you take some kind of medicine. And so I went on this round of drugs and basically experienced every side effect you have. Like my hair fell out, my skin got so dry, not just on the acne, but my arms and my fingers and dry skin all over. And even having depression, which was one of the side effects. Fortunately, I grew up in a very loving home.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing progressed out of this. But, you know, definitely experienced great side effects from this medicine. However, my skin did clear. And someone actually who knew me when my skin was really bad said to me one day, "What have you been doing?" And referred to my skin as peaches and cream, which I was like, you know, just in awe that someone would say that about me, because I've never been referred to that way.
Right.
So to me, I'm like, okay, all is well. My acne's gone. Well, that wasn't really true. So a few years later, it started creeping back up. So now I'm in my 20s, okay? And my acne starts coming out again. And at the time, and this product is still around. Again, I'm not going to say the name, but on TV, there was this big product, and it was like this 3-step system. And if you use this, your skin will be completely clear, and that's all you need to do. And so I got on that product, and let me tell you, that worked for like a decade. I literally used it for about 10 years. And there were a few times I tried to stop it, and the acne came right back. And I was like, okay, well, as long as I'm using this product, everything's good. My acne will stay away. So about 4 years ago, my husband, we were active duty military. He'd been overseas for over a year. His stay kept getting delayed. It was kind of crazy. He gets ready to come home. My skin's been really, really clear. He's getting ready to come home. It's like a month before, and my skin starts freaking out. Okay? And I'm sure it was stress. Like, it's happy when they come home, but there's also this time of transition and all of that.
Yeah.
So start breaking out a little bit. He comes back home. We move to a new duty station. We have to set up house, all of those things. And 2 months after we moved, my mother, who is 65 years old, my best friend in the whole world, died of a stroke.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It shook me to my core. It changed who I am. It changed how I view things. And the grieving process that I went through, which to me, you know, they say the final stage of grief is acceptance. When you really love someone, I don't know that you ever really get to like, oh yeah, I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah.
But it shook me so greatly, and my skin exploded. It was like this volcanic eruption happened all over my face. And I really believe it was kind of like this trifecta, like this perfect storm of events. Bam, bam, bam. These 3 huge life transitions back to back to back. I had been using, again, going back to that product I was using, and I don't want to get into it too much because we're not talking specifically skincare today. We're talking nutrition.
Right.
But another time, like, I'd be happy to explain why I feel that actually did more damage to my skin than good in the long run. But, you know, it was just this stress, and we're going to talk about that during our session today, plays such a big role. So when this happened, I went back to what I knew. It was like, okay, let me try different skincare, and nothing was really helping. And that's when I started researching and discovered that a big part of the way we look is a reflection of things going on in the body. And your acne is not your body attacking you. It's more your body's telling you something. And if you'll tune into that and listen, then you can heal your body and therefore have the results of having better looking skin. So that's what led me to where I am now.
Wow. And that's such an impactful story. And I appreciate you being so brave to share that with everyone, because I don't think a lot of people recognize that our day-to-day stresses affect our health as much as they do. And the fact that our skin is basically telling us, hey, take care of me, in whether it's an emotionally or physically or whatever.
Yeah.
It's I love that you use it as a way to make you just a better you rather than a reason not to be your best you.
Yeah. And that's, you know, I remember the day that my mindset changed about my acne. And I think we're going to talk about that later, because I think that, like, your mindset about it really does matter. The way you go into viewing the healing process, and even the nutrition we're going to talk about, the way you view it, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, so you mentioned that the stress caused the acne, but I'm wondering how, like, why would we even, like, we're going to talk about nutrition and how it can benefit the skin, but why would we even want to do that? We know physiologically there's, our bodies are telling us to heal us, but what does it cause for a person's social life? Like, what did you experience when you were had acne, whether it be on your face or on your body?
So, and I don't think the stress caused the acne. I think it was a contributing factor,
Right.
coupled with the state of disrepair that my gut was in.
Right.
So it was more like a major player, big contributing factor. Yeah, the social aspects. That's the thing about acne. I heard it described one time. I didn't think of this myself. I heard someone else say this, but it just makes so much sense. Having acne on your face is like someone who's uncomfortable with their body having to walk around in their underwear all the time.
Wow.
Think about that. Like, it's like on full display for everyone to see. And a lot of times, you know, even putting makeup on and things like that, when someone's close enough to you, you know, you can see flaws and imperfections. And I don't know that people are pinpointing them the way we feel like they are, but when you have acne on your face, especially when it's chronic, if it's in many areas, you feel like that's the only thing people see when they look at you. Mm-hmm. Now, I do believe it always looks worse to you than it does to other people. But some of the social things, anywhere that you have to go where you can't have your face covered is like an immediate, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. So going to the beach, going to the pool, going out on the lake, and simple things. Honestly, for me, I wanted to be able to just throw on some clothes and pull my hair back in a ponytail and run to the grocery store and do my errands. And I didn't even feel as if I could do that. I felt like I had to spend so much time trying to cover everything. And there were a few times when my acne was really bad that I was just like, you know what? I just need to go run these errands and I'm not going to worry about it. And I went without anything on my face. But I felt so self-conscious the entire time. Mm-hmm. And one of the areas that it really affected me was once I decided to become a health coach and help other women with nutrition, I was still struggling with my skin, and I thought, who in their right mind would hire me when my face looks like this? Because you're going to be like, are you sure you know what you're talking about? Mm-hmm. You know? And so for me, I realized, like, I really have to get to the bottom of this and address this, because I was even afraid to tell people what I did in my professional life, because they would look at me as if, you know, I didn't know what I was talking about, or this nutrition thing really isn't all it's cracked up to be, because your skin should look a lot better. Mm-hmm. So
you just wanted to lead by example.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, thank you again for sharing your story. Yeah. I'm like so inspired by you and your attitude about it.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, so I think our listeners are waiting.
Yes.
So let's go into like the basic foods that, like, I'm going to just kind of run some foods by you, and you can explain to me, like, if they do in fact cause acne, like their reputation precedes. So the first thing that jumps to my mind is chocolate. Like, what's the deal with chocolate?
Yes. I love this one, because I tell everyone I meet, like, when we start, nutrition inevitably comes up in the conversation. I'm like, I eat chocolate every day. And people are like, really? So yeah, chocolate. That's such a great one to talk about, because it is. It's like, stay away from chocolate. You know, it directly causes acne. So I don't believe. Well, there's a couple things. Before I start, let me say, this is not like 100% true or 100% false. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because acne is so individualized, and there's so many other factors. It's probably not one thing causing the acne. It's probably several things contributing. So the deal with chocolate is this. When I meet a woman who says, like, every time I eat chocolate, I break out, Okay, that's great. Tell me, what kind of chocolate are you eating? Now, a lot of times the answer I get, and again, I don't want to name names, but picture yourself at, the grocery store and you're in the checkout aisle and there's the candy bars there.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are typically the answers I get. Do you know
Right.
what I'm talking about?
Right.
Without me saying. And I'm like, okay, so it might not be the chocolate. It's probably the other stuff. So if we look at a candy bar wrapper, what do we see in it? Number one, we see a long list of ingredients. Number two, we see ingredients we can't pronounce, which is usually a red flag.
Yep.
Chemical additives that taste like food, but they're not really food.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the like first or second ingredient in those candy bars is high fructose corn syrup.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we want to avoid. If there's one thing that I would say to you tonight to eliminate from your diet, it would be high fructose corn syrup. It's easy to eliminate and it'll have a big impact. So when a woman says that to me, we have that discussion and usually a light bulb goes off. Oh, maybe it's not the chocolate.
Right.
So chocolate, when you're looking at chocolate, there's a couple things to look for. One is, I think it's worth it to spend the extra $1 or $2 and buy the organic, non-GMO, quality chocolate bar. I also think it's worth it to get the higher, and I've heard this pronounced two ways.
Cocoa. There's cocoa and cacao, and they're two different things.
Yeah. But I've also heard cacao pronounced cacao.
Yeah, we understand.
Okay. So you want to go for the higher content.
Yeah,
now,
so 70% or more, usually.
I agree with you. Yeah, definitely. And, if you're currently eating like a lot of milk chocolate or a lot of chocolate that's sweetened, especially if it has high fructose corn syrup, this is going to taste dramatically different to you. There's a chance you may not like it at first.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Allow your body time to adjust. Look for a short ingredient list. And I mean like maybe 5 ingredients in the bar. And having a square or 2 a day, is that causing your acne? Probably not. Okay. Exactly.
Yeah. I love we both have very similar approaches. We understand that it's not one food that makes or breaks the diet.
Yes.
And same thing with the skin. It sounds like that there might be things that are contributing, but it might not be, it's not just that one thing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So the other thing I hear a lot about is dairy. Like that's like the next thing. After chocolate, I hear that dairy really causes acne. Can you explain about that?
Yeah. So dairy is one of those things, and this really ties in so much with the gluten aspect too. There are things that we tend to over consume in our society. We eat a lot of dairy. Now you may be saying, well, I don't really drink cow's milk, so I don't have blocks of cheese in my refrigerator. But the thing is, and next time you're at the store or even like go through your pantry tonight, look at the labels on any processed food that you have, and a lot of them you will see that it says contains milk. And a lot of times it's those little buildups. Like we're consuming it, we don't realize we're consuming it. We may not directly be drinking the cow's milk, but we're getting it from other places. And dairy can be, notice I said can be. Okay?
Right.
I'm going to tell you to go vegan, I promise. But it can be inflammatory in the body, and especially if you're consuming a lot. So what I will say about this is, when I have a client who comes to me and they're struggling with their skin, even if they're struggling with their weight, dairy is one of the things that we eliminate for a time. Okay, I always say for a time. It doesn't mean that you never have pizza again, I promise. However, the best way to know if it's affecting your body, if it's causing inflammation in your body, is to not eat it.
Right.
Now, there are, a lot of times it's like this calcium argument, like, well, I've got to get the calcium from the dairy. No, you don't. There's a lot of sources.
There's plenty of other sources. Yeah.
Plenty of other sources that your body, some research even shows that your body metabolizes it more efficiently. calcium from like a plant-based source
Yep.
over a dairy. So you're not going to like die of osteoporosis by eliminating dairy for a time. But it is an effective way to see if it's causing inflammation in the body. And this means being diligent about reading every single label, which gets a little tedious. But unless you completely remove it, you're not really going to know if it's affecting you. So yeah, I absolutely believe that dairy is one of those. Typically, if you're having trouble with your skin, even if it's not eczema, if it's I'm sorry, not acne, but it's like eczema or psoriasis or something like that, dairy could definitely be a contributing factor, and it's worth ditching it and seeing if you notice some improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's with any sort of intolerance too. Like, and I know I don't want to kind of jump because I think we're going to get there, but with gut health, they kind of all sound so similar. So it's pretty interesting. All right. So you mentioned a little bit about gluten. I know gluten can be inflammatory as well. But I'm assuming you're going to say it's similar, that like you don't have to avoid it if it's not going to help, but I'll let you elaborate on that.
Yeah. So, okay, there's a couple, gluten is one of those things. So I'm 100% gluten-free. And I came to this decision after a lot of like crying, whining. I really did not want to be gluten-free. I wanted to be normal. Like, oh yeah, we're going to go have pizza and I'm a normal person and I can sit and eat it with you.
Yeah.
This was very difficult for me, and I went back and forth for a long, long time. And I saw a naturopathic doctor and asked, how long does gluten really need to be out of your system for you to know if it's causing inflammation, and for you to, if you are intolerant, to really heal from it? And the answer to that was 6 months. And I hadn't really done that before. So, you know, my thing was like, well, I eliminated it for a week and I really noticed a difference. It's probably not enough time. So the thing with gluten is a protein, and it's not just found in wheat. It's found in spelt, barley, rye. But it's a protein, and there are a few different theories out there that some people say we were never meant to digest gluten, that we were never meant to digest wheat, that we lack the enzyme for it. Then others say, like, no, you need the wheat, you need the fiber content. So this is my approach with skin is the same with the dairy. When a client comes to me and they're struggling with their skin, we eliminate it from the diet. You're still getting plenty of fiber. You can eat, there's plenty of grains that you can eat, and there's plenty of whole foods that you can eat. So you're not going to be lacking any nutrition by eliminating gluten. But it is one of the things that we reduce. And you should start to see, again, it's not going to miraculously, it's a really hard word to say.
Magically?
Yeah. It's not, you're not going to be like, eliminate it for 3 days and all of a sudden your skin's clear. That's probably not going to happen because, again, it's a long time. Okay. The antibodies are there. And you've got to go through that process. However, it is one of those things that, just like dairy, we tend to overconsume it. And a lot of times we consume it without even realizing it, okay? And it can be inflammatory in the body, especially the way we consume it. I mean, we're typically not eating sprouted grains.
Exactly.
We're like having, you know, it's basically we're eating white bread that has a tan on it, and we're like, oh, this is healthy bread. You know, so we're consuming highly processed versions of this. We're having large amounts of it. So I feel like I'm losing my train of thought.
No,
but yeah,
I mean, honestly, like, here's the thing. So for those just tuning in, we're talking about healing your skin from within. So this is particularly for people who have acne. So if you are frustrated and you can't get rid of your acne and you don't want to take medication and you want to do it a natural way, then trying to go dairy-free and gluten-free, it's going to be a challenge and you're not going to like it, and it's going to be hard, which is why I usually recommend people to seek out someone, a nutrition professional, to help them through it. So that way, you know, we know a lot about refined grains versus whole grains versus gluten-free grains, and what are the better swaps, and natural foods, natural starches that are naturally gluten-free
Right.
versus the processed gluten-free foods, you know, because there's so many things that can get lost in this message. But really, if you're really at that point where you're just frustrated with your skin and you're looking for a solution, then, you know, start by doing a little bit of what Hannah's saying, which is slowly start to kind of decrease the dairy and decrease the gluten, and see if there's any sort of improvement.
I remember what I wrote it down. One point I really wanted to hit home. There's two. With gluten and eliminating it from your diet. One thing I don't recommend is that you simply go to the gluten-free aisle and replace every
processed food. Exactly. We started with processed foods, like the processed chocolate with a long ingredient list.
Exactly. You're probably not going to see the results you want to see if you're simply eating gluten-free pretzels all the time. The other thing that I want to give you is the book that really changed my mind and helped me understand from a science perspective. It's a scientific, like research-based book. It's not nutritional theory.
Right.
Was Wheat Belly. You've probably heard of it. It's by Dr.
I've heard
Davis.
of it. Yeah.
That's a great book. If you want to understand a little bit more, I would recommend you read that book.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of theories out there about wheat. I think it's more, I didn't read the book, but my guess is it's more about the processed wheat, because I do believe that if we were having more sprouted grains, we would have no problem with gluten at all.
And it's interesting because I agree with you. Like, and one of the things he says in the book is that the wheat we're eating is not what our grandmothers, I guess depending on our age, great-grandmothers ate. But I will say, like, for someone like me, I have tried going back to having like the sprouted grains and still had trouble with my digestion. So I do believe that there are some people who are really, truly, I do believe gluten intolerance is
I'm gluten sensitive, and it's so annoying. And especially when you don't have like a clear diagnosis, like celiac, where celiac is really hard too, and it sucks. Like, and you know, I'm not saying that it doesn't.
Oh, you're just making this up, or
like, like that is like that. At least there's like a definitive, like, I have to avoid it. For us, it's more of a choice, because we just got sick and tired of it appearing on our skin or bothering our stomach or causing nausea. For me, it was like puffy face and just feeling discomfort.
Puffiness.
Yeah. You know, so that's where, you know, everyone's a personal preference. God bless you if you can have pizza and not get any sort of reaction.
Right, I know. Not be bloated for like a week.
Yeah, I wrote a post about that on my birthday, because I had my mom. Everyone got pizza. I got gluten-free pizza, because even now on my birthday, like, I used to treat myself because I didn't really have a diagnosis. I won't even do that, and I was just like, you know what, this is my life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, so I didn't put it on the list, but I feel like you probably know the answer. But I'm just curious about sugar. Like,
sugar.
Too much sugar.
Yeah.
Like, I always thought that people, like, I love your point about the chocolate and it being processed. I always thought it was related to the sugar. Like, if you're eating lots of sweets, it's going to appear on your skin, not necessarily just chocolate.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're right. It's true. Sugar can be a huge, huge culprit. One of the main goals of, like, when you're working to heal your skin, or even just heal your body in general, is to keep steady insulin levels, steady blood sugar levels. So your blood sugar does rise and fall naturally, but what we want to avoid are those huge spikes. And what does that to us? Sugar is one of the things that does that. So having steady insulin levels will help the appearance of your skin. Okay, like if your insulin, yeah, definitely. So like if you are constantly having, and see, it's interesting, just from my own personal experience, I grew up having a horrible time managing my blood sugar. And I was raised in a home where we ate well, like my mom cooked from scratch and all of those things. But I never made the connection between the two. But definitely. Now that you mention it, there was a time that I followed a timed nutrition program because I was really trying to get my fitness up there. And so I would
plan my meals where I would eat 2 to 3 hours before I would work out, like just basic time nutrition, like eat the fuel, recover, post workout,
right.
basically like that. And my skin was better than ever when I did that. It was also probably the combination though of I was also making sure I was getting enough sleep. I was also eliminating a lot of processed foods, but I also, that's kind of interesting that you mentioned
That is interesting. Yeah, totally.
I didn't even like realize that I kind of attribute it to the other stuff, but that was literally I never had better skin at that point. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Makes me want to go back to it. But,
yeah, I know. I'm like,
everything,
share the plan.
I don't want to overwhelm our viewers. Like, any diet is the best one that you can stick to. So that was like a fad for me. So that's why, although it was wonderful results, I'd really have to take a second look and take a step back and think about like, okay, does this actually fit my lifestyle?
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the same thing with like the dairy and the gluten. But at the same time, if you're kind of fed up with results, you'll make anything fit your lifestyle.
Yeah, and when we get to the mindset part, I definitely want to touch on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the sugar, I don't believe that you have to completely eliminate all sweet things. I am a huge fan of, no, I know not everyone in the nutrition world agrees. Some say all sugar is like, I've heard, all sugar is the same, doesn't matter the form. I'm a firm believer that it does matter the form it comes in. Now, it doesn't mean throw caution to the wind and eat 20 cookies. That's not what I'm saying.
Right,
but
right.
You can still have room for balance in your life. Sweetening things with coconut sugar, which is it's a more raw, unrefined sugar. And it contains some nutrition, actually.
Yeah.
As opposed to just refined white sugar that your body's not really using any of there's no nutrition in it that your body can use.
Right.
Sweetening like your morning oatmeal with a small amount of real maple syrup. So that means when you turn the bottle over, it should say maple syrup.
Exactly.
If it says anything else, it's not real maple syrup. So
it's usually high fructose corn syrup.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. If it's like flavored or anything like that, avoid. It should just be 100% real maple syrup. And in doing things like that, I think it's easier for people to make the transition. I think it's very hard, and not many people can just quit all sugar cold turkey.
Right.
There's physiologically things going on in your body apart from like the taste and the mental and emotional aspect. Your body is actually having like an actual withdrawal.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. So you need to substitute it with better alternatives.
That's my philosophy.
Yeah, I agree. I believe in balance, and I think that if we sat here and told people they could never have cupcake again, they probably
I love cake.
Yeah. Okay, so oh god, there's so much to talk about, but I don't want to run out of time.
I know, we're like
okay, so I'm curious about caffeine, and I'm wondering if like you are a big caffeine drinker, if then you need to drink more water. I've heard that. Is that true?
So I am not one to say like you need to completely 100% eliminate caffeine from your life. I have done it before, and I did it when I was first trying to heal my acne. I went through a lot of different things that I tried.
Yeah.
And one of them was this nutritional cleanse where you fast for like 2 days. It was awful. And you give up coffee.
I don't know how people do that.
It was awful. I would not recommend it. I was desperate. I would never put a client on it. I would never do it to my body again. I'm glad I went through it because it gave me that perspective and that experience. That's how desperate I was. But I couldn't think clearly. It was a disaster. But I gave up coffee. And after having worked with some women, with their skin, and I've had some that have given up coffee for a time, and I'm talking specifically about coffee because I kind of feel like that's the caffeinated drink that we think about. If you're drinking soda, stop. Just don't. Don't, because that's a whole nother ball game again with high fructose corn syrup and and additives and things like that. But, you know, what I'm thinking about is like, okay, let's say you have a caffeinated green tea or you have caffeinated coffee in the morning. Sticking with a small amount is probably not going to make or break you. I do think that obviously water intake is really, really important, regardless of whether you're having caffeine or not.
Yeah.
But you know, caffeine does raise our cortisol levels, you know,
Yeah.
like our stress levels, and we want to keep our stress like lower, a little more even keel, because stress is definitely related to your skin.
Right.
I always break out when I'm stressed. Always. So, you know, I don't think that you need to completely eliminate caffeine, but you do need to monitor it. And if you get to the point where you are like jittery, shaky, if you feel, you know, especially if you're having trouble with reflux, which is a common problem. I know that when I drink too much coffee, I start, like you get the
heartburn,
burps and the heartburn, and it might not feel like heartburn even, but if it's like, you can kind of have that, like your that burping type sensation, that's a sign that you're probably consuming too much and need to keep it in check. But one thing I'm not a fan of is a lot of times people say, okay, we'll switch from, you know, your caffeinated coffee to a decaf. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that because a lot of times it's the caffeine is chemically stripped. Right. And I don't see how that's healthier.
It depends on, like, if the person's really not, so I would say in a sense of like if they were a cardiac patient, but we're not even talking that. So, you know, it's just a matter of, if you want to limit your caffeine, then just have less.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Yeah. So I mean, you definitely want to watch your caffeine intake regardless of whether or not you're struggling with your skin.
And I think also too, like, we're talking specifically for people healing their skin, and if you have great skin and you're drinking coffee, decaf or regular, 2-3 cups a day, and your skin's fine, then you know, then that's fine. You know, there's not going to be that one or two things that's going to make or break your diet.
Right.
All right. So the last thing that I want to talk about is, like, we hit a little bit about processed foods, but particularly certain oils in those foods.
Yeah. This is, if there's like one thing that you really take away, I would say let it be this. So the thing about processed foods is, they typically contain a lot of highly refined vegetable oils. And these are high in your omega-6 fatty acids. Okay? And so your two key players with essential fatty acids, and essential just means your body doesn't make these, you have to get them from food. But the two key players are like omega-3 and omega-6s. And the problem with the standard American diet, with most of us, is it's the ratio. We're getting too many omega-6s compared to how many omega-3s we're getting. So one of the best sources of omega-3s is wild caught Alaskan salmon. You know, wild caught fish is very rich in that good fatty acid. But a lot of us don't eat fish, and we certainly aren't probably eating it 3 to 4 nights a week. That's one of the top things I hear from my private coaching clients. So I don't really like fish. And then there are supplement options that you can do. But if you can get it straight from the source, I recommend that. So the problem becomes when, I think we live in a world where 100% saying, like, I'm going to completely eliminate processed foods, I'm never going to eat them again, probably isn't reality and is going to create more stress than it's worth. So, I keep processed foods in my pantry. I have 2 little kids, they ate crackers and things like that. I am very careful about reading the ingredient list. There's certain things I won't opt for, but when you're looking at a processed food label, one of the things that you're likely to see are these vegetable oils listed. And a lot of times it's more than one, you know,
Yeah.
like a sunflower, a safflower, and a canola. That's
And they're
a
usually
lot.
refined.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They're highly refined, highly processed, and they do absolutely contribute to inflammation in the body. And we're simply eating, you know, especially if you eat a lot of processed foods, you're going to be getting a lot of those inflammatory oils. And then if you're not getting a good source of omega-3s, your ratio is going to be skewed.
Right.
And absolutely, it could be contributing. It could be a huge contributing factor to the appearance of your skin.
Right. So I guess, so then switching gears then, since we've like told everyone what they can't eat, let's tell people what they can eat. So if you're looking to improve your skin, one thing would be to incorporate more omega-3s, which I would tell anyone to do, whether you're trying to improve your skin or not. It is required because we do not naturally consume things like fish 2 to 3 times a week, or putting flax seeds in our cereal, or chia seeds in our smoothie, you know, whatever it is, you know. So we know that one thing that you could do to help improve your skin is incorporate more omega-3 foods rich in omega-3s. Now, what else would someone have to eat or drink to help improve their skin?
Vegetables.
Veggies, yay!
Vegetables.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Seriously, guys, like, I'm not a proponent of putting yourself, of like boxing yourself into a food camp and saying like, oh, I'm going to go paleo or I'm going to go vegan, because I think that it creates a lot of pressure and some unrealistic, you know, what if you're at a barbecue and you say you're vegan and then you have a hot dog and everybody's like, I thought you were vegan. It's like, then you feel guilty or like a liar and a cheat. So instead, focus on the majority of your diet being really largely a whole food plant based. Okay. So think about, did this like come off a tree? Did it grow in the ground? And that's kind of how you can quickly answer, is this a whole food? Eat the rainbow, literally eat the rainbow. And one thing I hear is like, well, I don't really like a whole lot of vegetables. That's okay. What I always say, start with what you like. What is your favorite vegetable? Well, you know, I really like asparagus. Okay, great. Let's focus on, you know, getting that into our diet. Then we can branch out from there. And this amazing thing happens in the body as you feed it more whole food nutrition. It will start to crave more whole food nutrition naturally.
Yes.
And it won't be a battle anymore. You'll actually want to eat broccoli. I promise, it happens.
Yeah, I know. My friends, I've been like on, you know, I've been eating healthy for like, God, it's like definitely a long time now. Definitely 15 years, maybe more.
Wow.
No, maybe, almost 15 years. But either way, at this point, for me, it's just the way that I eat. Like you said, I don't box myself into anything. Like, I avoid gluten, but I don't consider myself technically gluten-free. That's just how I eat. And I eat lots of vegetables and I eat leaf, whatever. Anyways, but the point is that my friends are always like, how do you not want the cakes and the cookies? And I just don't crave it. My body, and when I do crave it, it's rare. And when it does happen, I let myself have it in a healthy, controlled way.
Yes, thank you. Just let yourself have it.
Yeah. So
but
it's definitely a process, but it takes time. But
it does take time, absolutely, but it does happen. And that's really hard for people to believe. But I tell them, I'm a former fast food junkie, and, you know, sweets, cakes, highly refined sugar is what I like. I love that stuff. So it does happen, but it does take time.
Okay, and I don't want to go over time, but I definitely want to, like, maybe if there are any other food, drink, or maybe even lifestyle factors that someone can start to incorporate to improve their skin.
Yeah, you know, drinking lots of water, purified water, obviously, that's kind of like a no-brainer for achieving health and improving your health. But stress and sleep, those tend to be the two things that we don't think about. We're like, well, I work out and I've added in this nutrition. Well, okay, how's your sleep? And a lot of my clients, I'm telling you, it's a consistent problem. I hate to use that word, but it's like a consistent problem that I
Mhm.
see. They're getting like 5 hours of sleep a night, and then it's even like broken up. It's not good
Well
quality
rested.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that affects you, if you're having trouble losing weight even, like, but definitely with your skin, you've got to sleep. That's when your body goes into its cleansing repair mode, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to allow that time. Literally get your beauty sleep. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
So, um, and then, managing your stress levels. And my number one tip for this is, you can control what you can control. And some of the other stuff, you just kind of let it go. So the irony that like right now we're on social media, but one tip is to sometimes you have to back away from social media or unfollow people that you don't, if they're constantly putting up negative political posts that don't jive with you, or you have a difference of opinion from them, just unfollow them.
Yeah.
You can't control someone else's opinion, but you can control your reaction to it, and you can control how much you're exposing yourself to those things. So be mindful of how much you're putting into your brain and processing, because we have enough stress, I think, in our own personal lives, with our work and maybe our family, and if we have little kids and all of these things that we have to deal with.
Right.
So don't add on other stuff that's not your problem, that you can't solve.
Yeah. I'm just like loving everything about this, because what I find so fascinating about how to help heal your skin is what I would tell people if they're just looking to get healthier. Eat more vegetables, get more sleep, drink more water, manage your stress.
Yeah.
Like, this is all part of living a healthy lifestyle. And, the benefits to that are not just more energy and more self-confidence and being physically healthy, but, appearing healthy and having a clearer skin. I mean, that's just like an added bonus. Honestly, I think I associate that with, for me, weight loss was the second. The first was feeling better. I knew that certain foods didn't make me feel good. I knew my energy was down.
Right.
That was the beginning. Is I just wanted to feel better.
Feel better.
And then
exactly.
a nice, cool part about that was, hey, I've got to lose weight, and now shopping for clothes no longer is like takes me 1,000 times to find an outfit, and life is just easier. So it sounds like the same thing with when you focus on incorporating more whole foods and drinking more water and taking care of yourself, then naturally your skin will show that.
It will start to follow suit. Yeah, definitely.
And it's so cool. I love it.
Thank you. And if you go to my Instagram profile, you can download, I have like a little guide of things you can start doing. Some of the things we didn't even touch on today.
Yeah, we didn't have enough time. Literally, I didn't think that we would.
Like, definitely go get that PDF. It's yours for free, and it's in my profile.
Yeah, I read it. It was great. My favorite part about that, and I think we'll end with this, and you touched upon it a little bit, was the mindset. Like, what about the mindset when it comes to your skin should people take on when trying to improve it?
So I will tell you the most life-changing moment I had. It was a few years ago, and my skin was still pretty bad. And I remember looking in the mirror, and I thought to myself, I'm in my 30s, like I should be worried about anti-wrinkle creams, not acne treatments. And so I remember thinking to myself, could this be the rest of my life? Could I be battling this forever? And I thought, I can't live this way. And I made a decision to, instead of seeing myself as a victim, like, why do I have acne and why does she not? And I eat better than her, because that was my big badge of honor. I eat better than anyone I know, and I still have acne. And it was almost like I wore it with pride. And instead of having that attitude that I was a victim and woe is me and feeling sorry for myself, I said, you know what? I can overcome this. The power is, I control what I put in my mouth and what I put into my body, and I can overcome this acne. This acne is not going to control me. It's not going to run the rest of my life. I'm going to figure out the real answer and get to the bottom. And let me tell you, when I finally changed my mindset to that, I did what I had to do to get there. And like Tony, you were talking about how, like sometimes eliminating foods from our diet, it can be very painful. But let me tell you, I tried it over and over and over, and I would fail. I would eliminate, gluten was huge for me. It was a big contributing factor to my acne. And I would eliminate it for like 3 days and then eat it. And then 3 days again and then eat it. And when I changed my mindset, gluten no longer had power over me. I don't know how to explain it, except that I all of a sudden was like, I don't even want it.
Yeah.
It was like instant. And I had been eating it up to that point, but it just became this. I knew I was going to do these certain things and focus on my nutrition, and just my whole perspective changed. I wasn't a victim. Don't view yourself as a victim. You're not. You can overcome this, but it will take time and it will take some effort, but you can absolutely do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I promise.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your knowledge, answering all my questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see if there's any questions or just read the comments. Make sure I shout people out for tuning in. All right. Let's see. Okay. People just tuned in. They had to leave. Some people stopped coffee. Now they're drinking matcha. Still has caffeine, but it's still fine. Like you're saying, decaf. As long as your skin's good, don't worry about it. Loving salmon. Awesome. Love veggies.
Oh, that's
awesome.
Good.
We have Dr. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read.
Oh.
Loving that we're educating. Total Body Training. Great podcast, by the way. They're just saying hello. Every woman is beautiful no matter what. Aw, so sweet. Thank you. And yeah, I think that's part of it too, is being kind of forgiving with yourself, right? Like, like when you mentioned how you almost didn't want to coach until your skin was clear.
So like
to be honest,
was
like that was, I understand where you're coming from, and I felt the same way. Like I felt like I couldn't be an art because I was overweight when I started becoming an RD, feeling like it couldn't possibly be who's going to look to me if I'm overweight as a registered dietitian. But knowing that I'm on my journey and I'm learning and I'm growing, and you're not going to always have it all figured out from the beginning, but you're going to take ownership in the fact that this is something that you're going to work towards because you want to lead by example.
Exactly.
And so being beautiful, beginning, middle, and end is the truth and is the goal.
Exactly. And guys, like I would never say to someone like, oh, I figured this out and now I never get a breakout. That's not true. On Father's Day, I indulged in some highly refined cupcakes. They were gluten-free, but they were full of sugar. And let me tell you, like the next morning, woke up, had a pimple, but I know what it was contributed to, and I don't panic. Yeah, but exactly. It's like it is, like you said, it's a journey.
Definitely a journey, one step at a time. Okay, so we only have Instagram's telling me we only have 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining. So, how do people reach you if they want more information, help, or guidance?
So the easiest way would be to go to my website, hannahstoffel.com. And you can contact me on there and get all my social media links. Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was fun. My pleasure. I'll get it up on my YouTube channel. If not tonight, then tomorrow. I'll send it over. Awesome. All right. All right. Bye. All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Bye.